Hey guys, my name's Kendall, and the question I decided to go with was, what is my role as a learner and a teacher? And following those, I decided to come up with 3 more questions to help answer that first question. First question I came up with was, how can I learn more effectively? I decided to talk about the learning aspect first. And the first way to answer it, I think one of my many answers that I found was all the different learning styles. I know that with my partner, we talked about how everyone learns differently. I might learn by needing a teacher to teach me. Other people might learn by being able to read something and understand it. Other people might need to be more hands-on. And I think it's important that if you are able to learn those different learning styles and be able to practice those different learning styles, then that'll just help you with your role as a teacher, because whoever you're teaching, they're all going to have different learning styles. And I think as long as you remember that they all have their own way to do it, that you can understand it too, so you can be able to help them. Another aspect I focused on was focus on focusing, which sounds kind of weird, but I personally have an issue being distracted. I get distracted really easily. And along with that, I set a schedule, because I personally work really weird hours, and so I have to put certain times down to be able to study and be able to learn and to work on school, because if I don't, then I'm never going to get it done and I'm going to get stressed out. And so I think being able to learn more effectively is if you set time aside to only focus on learning and to only focus on studying. And lastly, I wanted to put that you remember who you're doing it for. When we teach these kids, or whoever you're teaching, they need to rely on us to learn so that we can teach them. And so for us to be able to learn effectively, we'll be able to teach effectively, which will help everyone all around the room. My second question that I came up with was, what can I do as a teacher if those I'm teaching don't understand the material? Like I said earlier, those are all those learning methods that we need to be able to figure out how to work with. Me and my partner talked about appealing to both sides of the brain. Some people learn with their left brain, some people learn with their right brain. One's like an artistic side, and one's like an intellectual side, more or less. And I think those learning methods that we learn, the hands-on or the reading or the writing, are really helpful. And I know that you need to be able to teach those different ways so that these kids can understand it. And another thing I came up with was encourage them to ask questions. Growing up, I never really liked asking questions in class, because I was always scared that my question was going to be dumb, or that my classmates were going to be like, why don't you understand this? This is easy. And it was super stressful to me. So I didn't really like asking questions. And I think it wasn't until I had a history teacher in high school who actually made us ask questions. We had to go up on the board every day and write questions about the reading we had. And it was part of your participation credits. And that way you didn't actually have to verbally ask the question, just being able to write it on the board. It was kind of anonymous, and that really helped me feel more comfortable asking questions in the class later on. And so I think if we encourage the people we're teaching to ask those questions and to know that they're not dumb, and that you'll be able to, you'll do your best to answer them, I think that's really important. Because if sometimes it's not your fault that they're not getting it, sometimes it's just the way you're teaching it might not be helpful to them. And so I think trying different ways and trying to get them to teach, or trying to get them to learn the material in the different ways you teach it, might help. Lastly, I want to talk about what is the most important thing my students need from me as a teacher. And first, I put be present. I had teachers who would just get up there and teach us the material, and they didn't really seem to care, and they were never classes I enjoyed going to when it was like that. I didn't like being there. I didn't feel comfortable being there. I feel like I couldn't ask questions. And I think if you're present and you're there and you are willing to talk to them if they need to, then that's super important. Going along with that, I think it's important to let them know that you care about them. And it's not just that you care about their education. I think it's you care about other aspects of their life so that they can get that education that they need. With my next point, it's a safe space. You want them to know it's a safe space. And I think that's important as well, because some kids might have something going on that affects their teaching or affects their learning. And I think if we know that and we make them feel comfortable to tell you that it's important, and it'll help you be a better teacher. It'll help you have your students feel comfortable in their classroom. And then lastly, I want to talk about how you can help them learn to love learning, which again sounds kind of funny, but I think if you get them excited about what you're teaching them, and you try to tell them that it's going to be important one day to learn, and that it's not just, you're not just doing it for the sake of a paycheck, you're not just doing it because it's your job, you're doing it because you want to, and you're doing it because you want them to learn is important. And if you show them that you love learning, I think that'll help them love learning as well. And I think that's really important for them to know as a teacher, or as a student from a teacher. So yeah, I think your role as a learner and a teacher are both super important, because if the more you're able to learn and the better you're able to learn, the better you'll be able to teach. Thank you.